forgiveness, perspective, and authority over anxiety. Doesn't that sound great? So I'm going to start with a little story. So a woman was in her house one day, and after she got out of the shower, she saw a bird that had flown through an open door. The little bird was panting and wild-eyed, his little birdie heart about to explode with fear as he threw himself over and over into the glass window at full speed. Imagine his confusion and frustration. I can see the sky. It's right there. If I fly hard enough and fast enough, I know that I can reach it. So I tell that because I applaud each of you for coming today and investing in your business. And what will probably happen later is these, hi, I didn't see you come in. Good to see you. New thoughts will show up in your life in different ways. And I really pray that that's what happens. So this is why we come to these things, so that a thought will manifest itself at a random moment and we'll capture it. But self-mastery is not a quick trip. It's not a trip to the Circle K. It's a process, and that parts of that growing process are unseen. So you don't have to wait until there's another event to invest into yourself. That can happen all the time. Taking time daily to pause can really bring you perspective and growth. So many of us live our lives reactive, like that frantic little bird. We see what we want, and we nearly kill ourselves to get it in a way that isn't even working. Isn't that so true? Meanwhile, if we had just stopped, got quiet, and took the time to look at things differently, we'd notice the door being held open for us by a nice lady in the bathroom. So being a true boss babe comes down to leading yourself, taking what we learn and applying it, and being the boss of yourself and not just playing a boss. Now, faith doesn't always guarantee an outcome, but it does establish an outlook. This information, by the way, I am totally stealing. None of it is original. I got it from a sermon, a couple of sermons that I listened to, and a book that I'm reading. And I want to give a shout out to Joelle and Bear, because even though Emily gave me a lot of credit for that 21-day challenge, it was Joe that harassed me about, she was like, sister, girlfriend, that's what she said, girlfriend, you need to do this. And then my mom also forwarded me the information, because I've been in Mary Kay for almost 13 years, and I am very self-disciplined, but I'm also a lot like this little bird. I will just go at something and go at it and go. When I was little, we would water ski, and do you water ski? Yeah, you're supposed to bend your knees. I didn't really know that, and so I'm just like an athlete, like a strong person, and so I would lock my knees, and it took so much more energy to ski the length of the bay with my knees locked, and that situation represents a lot of how I've lived my life with my knees locked, just trying to muscle my way through things. And so sometimes trying a new technique that requires grace and thoughtfulness is a little hard. So thank you, Joe, for making me do that, because it's been such a blessing in my life. So faith doesn't always guarantee an outcome, but it does establish an outlook. So this is more about perspective. So sometimes how we see things, like the frame in which we see things, what is a frame? A frame is our own experiences. A frame is kind of what we want out of life. A frame could be stories we're telling ourselves. It can be more important than the picture itself. So in Mary Kay, the picture is perhaps the goal, and the frame is how we perceive our own ability to achieve the goal. Or perhaps the picture is the circumstance, and the frame is how we interpret that circumstance in our lives. So a little confession, one of the things that I'm working on this year is vulnerability. And it's really uncomfortable, of course. But I'm trying to, after 13 years in Mary Kay, figure out what is it that I'm doing good, but what is it that's missing, or it can be tweaked, so that I can really achieve what it is that I want to achieve. In 13 years, naturally, I've lived a lot of life. I've been married at 20 years old. I've been divorced at 27. I've moved from Nebraska to Florida. I've earned cars. I've not earned cars. I've been a director. I've not been a director. There's been a lot of life lived. But what is it that I have to tweak? And sometimes it's not the thing. it's not the bend your knees or not bend your knees when you're water skiing. It's sometimes the personality things, and so I'm trying to address some of those personality things, which is awkward, but really, really rewarding. And so in a moment of vulnerability, I'm going to share with you that I sometimes struggle with anxiety. And I don't know if any of the rest of you do too, but even coming here, I felt anxious. And if you ever see me, and I have RBF, if you don't know what that is, ask your neighbor. But if you see me and I look real serious and mean, resting mean girl face. It's because I'm thinking and I'm concentrating. I'm like setting up because we got to set up because people are coming, and that's hard for me. And I've been like this since I was a little girl, and I overthought everything. I remember being in the grocery store and I couldn't make a decision of what candy bar I wanted. Like I could tell you where the store is. It really left an impression on me, and I had wished that my mom had told me that. Like I couldn't even get one. I just wish that she didn't even say that I could get one because it was so stressful and so much pressure to have to pick the stupid candy bar. It was like too much freedom. Homework I wasn't naturally good at was really a nightmare. I procrastinated until the last minute, and then I collapsed in a pile of stressed out tears the night before it was due. So, what's my mom gonna do? And my mom is my Mary Kay Senior Soul Dresser, for those of you who don't know. So one of the blessings has been the mental frame game that has given her, that she helped raise me with. So my mom would frame things differently for me. For the homework, she would say, "Okay, let's make it a game." And I loved games, and I loved winning when it was easy. And so she would make every 5 problems a new level. Because like Nintendo, right? So my 90s friends, that was the jam. And then I would get a little prize for each level that I achieved. So she framed it differently. The picture didn't change, but she reframed the picture. And when I was afraid to audition for the school musical, which y'all know me now, you know what I do like as a hobby, like commercials and all that. It's funny, but that freaked me out that time. She said, "Well, it'll be an experiment. Let's try it. If you don't make it, it doesn't mean you, if you make it, like if they say, yes, we want you to play the lead role, and you decide you don't want to do it, just say no thank you." And that had never occurred to me. Like I didn't want to apply for jobs because what if I got the job and it wasn't like the perfect thing? But I didn't realize, well, I don't have to take the job. And I sang off key, and I was about 3 steps behind in all of the dance. It was so bad. But I learned something. I learned I didn't die. Have you seen Hangover? Well, did you die? No, you didn't die. And I didn't die. So how we frame things has a lot to do with our words. The Bible says that the world itself was framed by the word of God. So this means, or implies at least, that God could find no raw material strong enough with which to build his masterpiece other than his own words. What? So what are you building with your words? Words make up stories. We cast ourselves as the characters in these stories. Had I let my mom and maybe like other people's words influence that, I might have been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And I know this, by the way, because one of the women that was at my very first Mary Kay party when I moved to Pensacola, Florida, was named Melissa Garner, and she is a licensed mental health practitioner. Well, we later became really great friends, and one day we were just chatting, and I was telling her my candy bar story. And I said, "Isn't that so funny?" And then, I just outgrew it, and she says, "No, you have amazing coping skills." And that's really when I realized that was because of my mom and Mary Kay that I have those amazing coping skills. But had I fully accepted that role of that is who I am in the entirety of who I am, that would have framed my perspective with limitation as opposed to opportunities. So instead of seeing things as a game or seeing things as an experiment, I would have opted out completely of those experiences. I might have become committed to my starring role as girl with anxiety and convinced myself unknowingly of the perks of such a role. For example, remember when I said I wished in the grocery store my mom had just said, well, fine, then you don't get any candy bar. Like, literally, that would have given me relief. Well, then that would have been a perk of accepting that role of girl with anxiety. Or, because it would have taken the pressure off, and I wouldn't have had to choose. And then I might have grown up into the habit of pretending I didn't see opportunity so that I wouldn't have to choose. Isn't that interesting how we can take those experiences with us and just subconsciously relive that same role over and over again? Others, it might have been a benefit for me, for example, another example, to collapse in a fit of tears because of my procrastination, because of my condition. We don't realize it, but we often make the perks we get from perpetuating our stories more important than getting the things we really want because it's familiar territory. It's where we're comfy and we're scared to let go. And I grew up not really knowing the difference until literally that moment. I love that y'all talk about defining moments because it was that defining moment with my friend over coffee where she's like, oh no, you have skills. And then guess what? I was like, I do have skills. And I felt really great about it. So I recognize even more, I have more self-awareness now of those different things, especially now as I'm exploring the oddities of my personality. So I was aware when I got here today that I was feeling anxious. I was aware that I had RBF as I moved chairs from my car to the pool. I'm aware of also ADD. Like, I thought that was a joke. And then, again, my mother was like, no, that's real. You have it. And I was like, oh, I do? And you know what? It's just such a blessing. I hope that you're with that with your children, that they might have some challenges, but because of how you talk to them and how you treat them, they don't know it. And so maybe one day later in their adult life, it will be beneficial for them to know it. And they'll just be like, oh, I do. That's funny. Because now I also recognize that. Like when I was preparing this message, I was trying to get dressed, and see how this is like crisscrossing the back? I got stuck in it twice. So I'm trying to listen to the sermon to recap, to write things down, but then I got the dinosaur arm going on, and I was trying to write things down, and I was like, I'm doing that thing. I need to sit and just not move so I can listen and prepare this. So that awareness is important, but be careful how you cast yourself in your own movie. If you haven't been blessed with a mother like mine, you might instead want to make a list of these false rewards. Feel them. Like, feel it. Feel the perk of being able to pitch a fit and give up for the day and just hope that tomorrow's better. Feel that perk. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then tell it to be on its way. Because you got to make room for other characters in your movie. The second step is to replace those words and write a new story. Remember that the things that you are wishing for, that God is already speaking of in the past tense. There are things in life that you can't control. I couldn't control that. I couldn't decide about a candy bar. I just couldn't help it. You know, you might make a nice weekly plan sheet, and then the refrigerator stops working. The repairman is late, the dog has explosive diarrhea, and you just started your period. It happens. That's called real life. But what you can control is the frame and your focus. Do you know the difference between a tight shot and a wide shot? Yeah? So like if I'm doing a tight shot on Brandy right now, I would just see her face. But if I do a wide shot, I can see all of you. And sometimes when life is crazy, you need a tight shot. And go, you know what, I'm focusing on what's important right now. And all this other stuff is just going to be outside of the frame. And you have to decide, and you have to cut things out. And that's okay. So forgiveness. What is forgiveness about? Forgiveness is about putting your desire to feel good before your desire to be right. Isn't that hard? Y'all had a messy first marriage. But I had to decide that my desire to feel good and be happy was more important than my desire to be right. And I might even amend this quote a little bit by saying, my desire to have other people know that I was right and understand my perspective completely exactly. Yeah. You understand? It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness instead of pretending it's in someone else's hand. So don't be so committed to your own story about being the victim that you miss who God wants you to be. The need for forgiveness is not exclusive, though, to interpersonal situations. It could be the situation itself. Bitterness held within about why something didn't go as planned is still unforgiveness, even if it's like not a person, it's just an event, it's a life event. So my sweet husband was laid off for the 4th time in February. He has been laid off for 5 months. 5 months. And we chose, when we got married, to live very conservatively so that we could become debt-free. When he got laid off, we were $5,000 away from being debt-free, and it just hurt so much to press pause on that. Because of that decision early on, we live in a 650 square foot home that is very interesting. Do you know what it's Section 8 housing is? Mm-hmm. So it didn't pass inspection, and that's why we got it, because the windows don't open. So that doesn't pass inspection for us, like that housing. So they were like, you can pay full price and live there. So we were like, sure, that sounds great. So it has lots of interesting features, and one day it'll be a great story. And one day very soon, because we're going to be out of debt really soon. But this meant that my husband, who is normally away, and I, who work at home, we're together. And we don't have a laptop. We just have 2 PCs, and there's only one internet connection, and it's in my office, which is just like the 2nd bedroom, and it's also multifunctional, of course. And then the kitchen is right next to it. The door from the kitchen to my office didn't really open and it didn't really close, so I took the door off and hung up a curtain. And so there's no sound barrier between where he's working and where I'm working. So every day he would hear me work my Mary Kay business. And isn't it funny that at that time God is working in my heart on the subject of vulnerability? It was like the ultimate test in vulnerability. I hated it. He heard every time I coached one of you members. He heard every time I followed up with a customer, every booking call that I made. It was very uncomfortable at first. And he wanted to show me every cool video he saw on the internet. So we had to establish some boundaries. But an unexpected blessing came out of that. He decided that he didn't want to be laid off anymore, and so he went back to school. So now he is getting his bachelor's degree, which is really awesome. So if y'all see him, encourage him. He's taking online accelerated statistics and kind of hating life right now. Yeah. So here it is. When one door closes, another opens, but we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which was opened for us. So many times my husband would say, if I just had if that place would just hire me back. You know, it's the gas prices will go back up. It was an oil transportation company. Gas prices will go back up. Maybe they'll just hire me back. And he was so like a puppy at that door. I was like, we gotta let it go. We can't think backwards. We can only think forward. Not everything in life reconciles. So if you had team members and you lost them, or you had personal life situations that weren't really great, you can't attach meaning to everything in your life. It'll drive you mad. But you can find blessing in every situation of your life. So we are sitting on the sofa one morning. He did get a new job, by the way. He's been there for 2 weeks. And I said, we were talking about my Mary Kay business and how that's been a blessing in our lives. And I was reading in the morning, and I had a little plane ticket stub in my book as a bookmark. And he said, what is that? And I said, oh, it's a plane ticket from when my grandmother, who is my mom's senior sales director, flew to Mary Kay seminar. It looks like it's from 1987 or something. And he's like, oh, well, why do you keep it in there? And I said, well, just to remind me of where I came from, and that were it not for my grandmother, I wouldn't have this super cool job. And he goes, oh, I don't know. I think Mary Kay would have found you. I said, really? He's so funny that way. He's so factual. Then all of a sudden he becomes like destiny man. And I said, really? You really think so? And now remember, he's been listening to my referral phone calls for 5 months. Y'all know my script, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can say it now.
Yeah.
He's good.
So he goes, oh yeah, I think it would have found you. And he's just so serious. I'm like, really? Yeah. I think it would have come in the form of a phone call. And it would have sounded like this. Hi, Meredith. This is Garrett. Did Stacy tell you I'd be calling? He went through the whole script.
So awesome.
But the unexpected benefit of that experience, that story kind of illustrates, is that he's a part of my Mary Kay business like never before. I wanted him to be even more supportive. I wanted him to understand more of my business. And I wanted us to work together more as a team. And so those are all things that I wanted. But did I want them that way? Did I want them in the way that would cause him not to have an income for 5 months? No. But I learned an important lesson. Don't be too in love with the way you think things will happen. You gotta love that process. So in closing, fall in love with that process. Take time to pause, frame your perspective, and let go of the past. And with that, I'm going to stop being a technical bug and have Rachel come up and have y'all share. So you're just going to share one thing that you took away from this. Just pop up real quick and share. Anyone get started?
Hey Rachel, come to speak up.
And can you talk loud so that the camera can hear you?
That it has to benefit the whole family and not just me.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I'm a single mom, so sometimes I forget, because I am a muscle supporter for my family, that, I need to focus on it benefiting my daughter, not just my goals for seminar. Yeah.
One thing I kind of like is the ledger. I'm a little bit OCD, but I like the ledger and actually being able to see what I'm spending, how I'm spending it, and how to kind of break that down. I think that's something that's benefited me a lot, and be able to show my husband, hey, look, this is actually what I'm doing. I'm not just going to spit it out and say this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually able to show it for it.
And if you are more of an electronic person, there's a program called Ascend that is made for Mary Kay consultants, and it's like an envelope. It's kind of that mixed with the envelope Dave Ramsey system, and you can, when you make a deposit, you can put this much needs to go towards inventory. It really breaks down all the percentages for you, 10% towards your business expenses. So that's really helpful if paper overwhelms you.
I just wanted to add on to what she said, because that's really what I took away from it too. I really liked the percentages of this is for inventory, this is your salary, because I never really thought about it that way. I always thought, okay, there's 50-50, I get 50% of the cost. What do I do with it from here? And so I really liked that.
Treating it more like a business the way it was intended, and being really honest with myself, especially my financial situation, that's a biggie. And Meredith, just enjoying the journey instead of being in love with the result. Because I'm kind of perfectionist that way. Really special.
I liked the numbers. That was my favorite. Knowing exactly what I need now that I put in my notice at work.
Yay!
Figure it all out. Not having an actual day of being and doing this as my job.
Yeah. So.
I really liked everything that I got to do from dancing, because it really does work. And when you don't do it, it's 30 years later still doing the same thing. And I'm proof of it. Because I made a little money, I did the 2 cards, but I still don't do that right. If I didn't make a cappuccino, it was terrible. I probably would never done it. So why don't we do parties? Because I've done some parties without having a day. That's how I'm late, because I was
Good girl.
I know. So it was so much fun. Making money barefoot.
I'm going to go with what Renee said. I think for me, treating it like a business, instead of I think I might do it, be there, treating it like a business and being honest about where I am in my life and how I need to be your get off the pot, as they say, one or the other. And so I like all that. So, and I know it's all true.
Just please sit down. Okay.
recently it hit me what a blessing that Mary Kay can be. It has been I've enjoyed all the perks except for the money because I didn't set a goal to make any and I put whatever I had back into my stuff. Recently my daughter's home and my son were talking and they're trying to figure out who's going to take care of me when Daddy dies because he's not in good health. And I said, what? God will take care of me. And then I thought, well, how will he help me? How would he let me help in that? And I realized I have Mary Kay and that I've been taught a lot of things that should I put them into practice, I can take care of myself and not be a burden on my grown children. And that is a blessing. And today just helped reinforce that I can do that with this tool and vehicle. It's been good, everybody.
I like the part about the ledger, and there was a part I'm doing some of that, but I'm not doing some parts, and so that really helped me. And then I like the part about scheduling time to do the other things, not just like booking my parties, but booking time to coach and things like that.
I'll go next. The 21-day booking challenge, I started it the last time we did it for, 4 days. And it worked for 4 days. It was really good. And I can't tell you why I stopped. So it's the remaining accountable to the programs that we have and to, I don't remember why I stopped now. It was my dad's birthday party, 70th birthday party. But you know what? That was one day. And I never got back with it. So one thing just totally snapped through our game plan and not get back with it. And I was having success. I had people call me back. It was great. So getting on board with these wonderful ideas that you have in place for us and really sticking with it, being accountable, and probably being more honest with my director about what my goals are and really sticking with them.
I like that croquet ledger that you went over. I've really struggled with that. How to break up croquet, how to, do all of that. So I really liked the croquet breakdown. And I like the accountability. I am doing the 21-day challenge and it is great. If you're not doing it, you should do it. It's fabulous. I really struggled with Katie. Grabbing all the leads, had all these leads, gonna call them, gonna do it. Yeah, never happened. So it's nice that they're organized, they're in a place. I have the bag like Emily. You can take it anywhere and everywhere, and you're there. So I like that. It's good. Good.
I like learning how to pay yourself because I have several spreadsheets. I really like them a lot, but I needed specifically today when I went to the bank to figure out that piece was missing. Like I was like, how am I going to take that code in? I just couldn't figure that out. So thank you.
I think when you actually, cut yourself a check or make that transfer, it really helps to see that you're making money and not just reinvesting it all. That's why it's important to do, especially with ProPay, to do that breakdown, because if you just reinvest everything from ProPay, you're never paying yourself. So it's really important to do that breakdown, not only with your check to cash flow.
I think I'm going to put it on the fridge each month because it's part of the family. We're going to France in 3 years, and that's what it's for. So it's just this much money went to France, maybe on the 1st or something. But I just needed to wrap my head around how to do that.
Take a copy of the check. Anybody else? Well, I think we wanted to get a group picture. So if everybody do you want to maybe do it in front of like the fireplace so people could stand back there?
I think back here. Yeah.
Ivy may be better, and you have to, you can stand where you can stand on the brick.
Oh yeah,
like
do you want me to grab Addie?
Behind where Lee is, we can be right there, maybe.
I would think on that side of the brick.
Seriously, I just saw her walk down the
Emily, I would think on that side,
Okay.
because the plants, you're gonna be like butt in the plant kind of
Addie's
thing.
not here anymore.
Where's my child?
She's in here, I got
Oh.
her covered.
Well, do we have somebody to take? She can take a cell phone picture, but I'm not giving her John's camera.
I can take it.
Oh, I don't mind. It's all good.
Alright, come on.
She beat. Too cute.
I'm glad you remembered because I have like a color coding system with my pen.
Really?
I would have been like,
I can take it. You're a director.
Get in there. Exactly why I should be over here. Get in there.
Are you freaking kidding me? You're a leader.
Your consultant. Yes, you are too. That's why your team has to see you in that picture.
Oh, Krista knows I came.
Love you.
I'm gonna put this for you.
Yeah, baby.
It's my special bottle. My oils.
How lovely. I do really want to.
Yeah, he's super nice.
So that's your using this here, and then you can fold that down
There's so much.
I see that. You got outranked.
I got outranked. That is right. Because she tried to take it from me. I'm like, no, I'm good. And she said, you got outranked. I said, I did.
You wanted a picture?
Everybody look at Nancy and smile.
No double chin.
Come on, Carla.
Stand up. Is there brick right there? Oh. Carla, squeeze in a little bit. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Do one more. I think it's good. I can't remember. So it's in the video.
That's unfortunate. So glad you're here even with all your stuff today.
Oh yeah, it was just, it's time.
Oh, I know, honey.
Maybe it'll take a while. I don't know.
we can put some more of the stuff on in the car and
And some ice. I mean, nothing else except the ice water.
Maybe you can get like a Ziploc.
She's gonna make me a bag.
That's what I was thinking.
Because it's already my little ice pack is already melted.